Well, good morning. For those of you in the room, my name is Colin Bletsky, and I'm the COO for MustGrow Biologics Corp. My background is agriculture. I've been in the agriculture space my entire career. I still actually actively farm in Saskatchewan, just under 8,000 acres with my family. I've been in the chemical space with Syngenta for roughly 10 years before moving into the biological world with Novozymes, where I led the global bioag business and sustainable agriculture. And now been with MustGrow now for roughly just over 5 years, working with this organization. So who we are and what we do is we're really looking and focusing on the sustainable agriculture part and looking at how do we replace synthetic chemicals and fertilizers in the overall global market today. So when you look at our organization and you look at farming, you look at sustainable agriculture, the key issues are farmers need to have a crop, they need to grow a crop, and they want to do it in a good pest-free way. And they also want to look at it in a sustainable way. So as a farmer, our biggest asset is our soil. We need to make sure we maintain that and we continue to grow it. So our organization, MustGrow, we focus on really disrupting this industry. What we do is we extract things from mustard seed, the same mustard we eat, and we're able to put that molecule back into the soil to help replace synthetic chemicals and fertilizers. So for us, as a small organization, our technology, we actually have over 112 patents. We have a lot of know-how, and we also have a lot of unique properties around our technology. As an organization too, and we've structured this, and thanks to Jameson Bonarenko at the back, our capital markets advisor, he's been able to help us structure this in the right way. So we have just over 51 million shares outstanding. We're roughly about a $60 million Canadian market cap. And we have right now over 2 years of cash on hand for us, which is a good long runway. And as well, management and insiders own roughly 21% of our organization. So we're heavily vested. My personal wealth and my income is put back into the organization, and we continue to drive that. The markets we play in are looking at replacing, like I said, the synthetic fertilizers and chemical markets. We're into the biofertility space with a product called Terrasante. And we're also going into the biocontrol space, really looking at removing diseases, pests, nematodes in crop, as well as looking at it in post-harvest for food preservation, for potato sprout control, root and tuber vegetables, and other diseases. And we do this through global partners. We're a very small company based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That's where 30% of the world's mustard is grown, is in our province in Canada. But we do this through global partners. So we're working right now with NexusBioAg in Canada, Sumitomo Corporation across the Americas, Bayer Crop Science, who we've now just signed a large commercial deal with for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And we also work with Janssen PMP, which is a division of Johnson & Johnson on our post-harvest food preservation platform. So we do this, and that's how we're able to run our 2-year cash position. So why are we doing this? Everybody needs to eat. Agriculture has been around forever. But what's happening now in our space is there's a lot of government regulations coming in, reducing and removing chemicals, banning the use of fertilizers, and this is going on right across the globe. The other part is consumers want to eat healthier. I want my kids to eat natural products that are not sprayed with a whole bunch of pesticides. I'm a farmer. I still have to use pesticides. We want something different. Our industry has to change. So when you look at the market and what's happening, there is a big shift going on globally right now, away from chemicals, away from fertilizers, into more sustainable and natural products. And that overall market right now for chemicals and fertilizers is over about $325 billion US. The biological space is expected to grow in double-digit CAGR and be close to that $35 billion up to 2030. So it's a very good growth area, and we're really excited about it. So what's unique about us, and I kind of tell this story, so if you think about mustard, and if you think you eat sushi here in North America and you have wasabi, and you feel the wasabi touch your tongue and you feel the burn in your nose, that's the same molecule we're taking and putting back in the soil. It's what nature's given us. But what's unique about our technology? And in the biological space right now, a lot of biologicals, there's a lot out there, but there's a key things around them. They don't work as effective as chemistry. They're more expensive than chemicals. They're harder to use. And that's what's unique about us. Our product is something that is safe for the humans, for our environment, for the soil. It's not having any, it has positive soil health aspects. So when I talk about soil health, it's when it breaks down into simple sugars, proteins, carbohydrates, and it actually feeds the soil just like we get fed. It's economical. We're able to produce this and extract it in a very effective form, and this is one of our trade secrets and know-how, so that we can go in and price it the same as synthetic chemicals. So that takes that barrier away. Low environmental impact, so it doesn't have any challenges in the environment. It's flexible. So I talked about why farmers, we want to make it simple. We want something that's easy. We can go through the same equipment farmers are using to date, so they don't have to put a big capital expenditure to go do something different. And the last thing is it works. And this is something through our partnerships, through now our deal with Bayer, we've proven internally as well as our partners that our product can work as well as chemistry. So what we've done as an organization is essentially taken all the barriers that used to be with biologicals, and we're taking those away for a farmer, so it makes it easy. They can press the easy button and just go from the chemical products into ours. And when you look at our industry and where we are as an organization today, we have two near-term areas. One is called Terra MG. This is where we are working through the biocontrol registrations across the U.S. with EPA, in Canada, PMRA. We're working in Europe, Africa, Middle East with Bayer. We're working in the South American markets with Sumitomo. So we are now in that process of getting the registrations to go in and be able to position our product as an effective nematicide, as effective fungicide, and looking at other different markets as well. In this space, we're working, like I said, in R&D level agreements with NexusBioAg in Canada, with Sumitomo across the Americas, and we just signed a global deal with Bayer for Europe, Africa, and Middle East, where they're investing a significant amount of capital on our behalf. The biofertility side, and this is the product to help us go and target and replacement of synthetic fertilizers. We now have a product called TerraSante, where we have 2 registrations in the U.S. currently, in Washington and Oregon, 2 big states for fruit and vegetable production, and we're working towards other registrations as well. In this space, so that product is OMRI certified, so that's organic standards, so we can go into conventional acres as well as into organic acres. And we're working with a company now to really help us define the right route to market and looking for different partners for this technology in the U.S. So 2 products that are very close to market. We're also within our pipeline and future pipeline working with, like I said, Janssen PMP on the food preservation. This technology has tremendous opportunity in sprout control, into different disease control products, both in root and tuber, so potatoes, onions, garlic, as well as into other crops. And then also looking at future pipeline additions. This market is massive, and if we can go and find other key molecules that can help us add value, we continue to look at that to keep updating our pipeline as well as our IP. And like I said, we do this for partners. We're a very, very small team, and when we started this venture 5 years ago, we were really focused on the US and Canadian market. By working with Bayer, by working with Sumitomo, by working with Janssen, they have invested the money for us in R&D level agreements, getting us the new IP, getting us the understanding of how our technology works right across the globe. And this is an area where we now are, have signed a deal with Bayer. And to me, we keep talking about this. We're really excited about it, as it validates our technology. We always said it works. We've given the keys to our car to these large organizations to go and do the work on their own and prove it to themselves. And Bayer's now come back, and we now have that commercial agreement with them. So when you look at the agreement with Bayer, what it is, it's an existing or commercial licensing agreement where they are going in and taking our technology exclusively into Europe, Africa, and Middle East. And the reason why, if you look at Europe, specifically look at Europe, they want to be 25% organic acres or hectares by 2030. They will not register, and based on regulations, they are not registering any new chemistry past 2030. So if you look at the long-term opportunity for an organization like Bayer, which is one of the largest agricultural chemical organizations in the world, they are actually limited on what they can do now and how they can get their products to market. So the industry in that region is changing. And what is the agreement specifically? They're actually taking and going in and investing between 35 to 40 million US dollars on our behalf to get that product to commercialization. Part of that was a upfront payment. There are milestone payments in there, and then we are working towards the royalties as well as a cost of good increase for that agreement. So they're taking this, they're putting it through that stringent regulatory area, investing all the money on our behalf and taking the risk away for us. And so the next steps with them is really taking that product getting it to market, really understanding it, starting to see how it fits as a standalone as well as into their entire portfolio. And this is why we're really excited to have Bayer. And I kind of tell this story. If we worked with Bayer for roughly about 18 months on an R&D level agreement, R&D level trialing program that they were doing. They came back and they are now paying us. So that for us is a very good, I would say, statement to say our product's working. If this product didn't work as well as the chemistries in their trials, they would not have moved forward with us and invested that amount of capital. The other product, like I said, TerraSante, which is close to market. TerraSante is a blend of two different extracts of our product, and it's really targeting the fruit and vegetable industry. Right now, we're only looking at the US. We will look at other areas. And the reason why in this area, fertilizer is starting to be banned. If you think of California, I was there last week working with growers, working with retails. There is a cap on the amount of fertilizer that a grower can use in their crop to grow a crop. If you don't have the fertility, you're not going to get that same level of ROI. You're not going to get that same level of turnover and yield. So that's going to impact their bottom line. They have to find different ways to be able to feed their plants, feed their soil, and grow a crop. So it's extremely important. And then we look at the U.S. market. The U.S. produces a tremendous amount of fruit and vegetables that are sent essentially everywhere. So to give you an example on the market opportunity for this space, so in this area, there's roughly about 10 million acres of fruit and vegetables across the U.S. with a heavy concentration in that California region. If we go and target roughly about 1.5% of those acres, and that's what we believe we can target, that's roughly about a $60 million opportunity for us for just that one region. So it's a tremendous amount of opportunity in those areas. So really the next steps is finding the right commercial partner. We have a contract group working with us, BioAg Product Strategies, helping us find the right retails, finding the right groups in the U.S. to target, to work with. So we're going to continue to do that, continue to work through other registrations, California, Arizona, New Mexico, going right across the entire U.S. in a horseshoe, really targeting those areas. And that's work's going to continue to be going on over the next little while. And then next is the how. I talked about us being really unique. So we are taking natural products from two different mustards. It's what nature gave us, and we're able to extract those in a very key, essentially, proprietary way. So we announced this roughly about, I think it was between 6 to 8 months ago, that we have done actually a full-scale production run. We do not own a manufacturing facility. I said we keep our burn tight. We do things through contract manufacturing. Through our manufacturer today, we're able to produce between 1 to 2 million liters, which is equivalent, I'm thinking, about 250 to 500,000 gallons of product, which for us is between a $15 to $30 million turnover. And our gross margins, depending on the crop, are between 60 to 70%. Higher in high-value crops, a little bit lower in some of the lower-value crops. So to go to these markets and target with Terra MG and TerraSante, we do not need to put any capital into a production facility. We already have that built. We already found those areas. We could move that up with a little bit of expansion at those facilities. We can actually produce upwards of 10 million liters, which is a turnover for us about 150 million. And for us to hit our long-term objectives, we need roughly about 60 million liters of production, which would be just under $1 billion turnover in that long-term area. But for us, mustard has grown a lot in Saskatchewan and Alberta in Canada. It's also grown in India, in Nepal. It's also grown in South America. It's a very robust crop. So there are facilities essentially right around the globe that we can essentially plug and play into those areas and build up scale. And then last with our capital structure, like I said, 51.6 million shares outstanding, roughly fully diluted about 54 million, so it's very tightly held. And 21% of that is management and insiders right now. So everybody asks, well, that's not or when I look at it, it's not a very nice chart. We got hit very hard. The one thing we've done is over the last 2 years, even though our share prices have been getting devalued by sales, we keep de-risking our technology, de-risking our company. Over that time frame, we've signed up Bayer. We've signed 2 different agreements with Janssen, so Johnson & Johnson's company, to expand our portfolio. We've launched TerraSante. We've got registrations. We've increased our IP from 23 patents up to 112. we continue to de-risk this organization, and essentially over that time have been able to maintain and build this cash position that we're in to really drive that area. And then we do this really with a small team. Internally on payroll, there's 3 of us. We do everything. So one day I'm the COO, the next day I'm in the lab doing work, the next day I'm in the sales guy in the field. So we run this really lean to do this, and we do it well. A tremendous amount of experience on the top with our management, a lot of ventures, a lot of small companies. Like I said, Jameson Bondarenko, our capital markets advisor at the back, has done a great job of structuring our deals and structuring everything we've done. And then we work with key industry experts. Our formulation scientist, who works in our lab in Saskatoon, knows our product inside and out. Our production advisor, David Maines, he is within the top 1% of process engineers globally, I would say, and he's the reason why we've been able to reduce our COGS to a point where we're going to be in good margins. And last is Dr. Matthew Mora. He's worked with brassica and mustards at the University of Idaho for 40 years. And we always knew our product worked. We didn't know the why. He brought the why. He brought the news and everything around the different modes of action. But with that, thank you for your time, and I'm welcome to answer any questions, if there are any.
Does the mustard interact with the soil itself? Explain a little more about the technology and how it works.
Okay, so the question was, does the mustard interact with soil, and can I explain the technology? I'd love to explain the technology. I'll get on my soapbox. So the technology itself, essentially, there's 2 different mustards we use. One is called Oriental mustard, which Oriental mustard has a hot, spicy bite to it. So it's food grade mustard. Out of that mustard, we extract a glucosinolate called sinigrin. In the yellow mustard, so yellow mustard, like French's, same thing, we eat it. There is an enzyme in there called myrosinase. When those 2 components, the glucosinolate and the enzyme, come together with water, it creates this natural molecule called AITC, allyl-isothiocyanate. Allyl-isothiocyanate is essentially, it's used right now in cancer research. It's shown to reduce cancerous tumors by 94% in the colon, small intestine, and bladder. It's used as an anti-inflammatory. It's used in food preservation, already pumped into bread bags to control mold. So it interacts with the soil. So what happens, it goes in the soil, we apply it. It interacts with the soil, removing the diseases and pests, but being a natural product, it breaks down within roughly about 72 hours. And when it breaks down, it actually feeds the soil microbiome. So think of it as taking a probiotic for a human. We're essentially putting almost a probiotic back in. It's removing the bad and impacting the good.
Any kind of weed?
It essentially will. It's a soil applied product, and so it can go on any soil globally. So the crops we've tested on so far have been a wide array of fruit vegetables, so strawberries, leafy greens, cucurbits. We actually trialed this product in Colombia on Fusarium wilt TR4, and if you don't know about Panama disease in bananas, we were able to help control that disease, and that disease actually wiped out the first monoculture banana back in the 1960s, and it's mutated over the past 60 years, and we're able to control that. No other chemical on earth has done that. So this molecule is extremely valuable. It is extremely efficacious. So we tested on bananas. We tested on canola and pulse crops, so peas, lentils. We're testing it in cotton, soybean, rice. It's essentially tested across a wide array. Citrus, it's in apples, vineyards. It can be used on pretty much anything. Yes. Yeah, so the question was, can we make this cheap enough for farmers to afford it and buy it? And the answer is yes. So if you think of high-value fruit and vegetables, we actually can compete head-to-head versus the synthetic chemistries that are used to date in the soil. In my farm, going in broad acres, so very large scale, we are targeting canola and pulse crops, 2 key diseases in Canada that are impacting our industry, and we're able to show value at those levels of price point to maintain clubroot out as well as phenomyces. So yes, the answer is yes. Are we going to be broad scale across corn and soy? There's a few things we'll have to work on. It's mainly high value fruits and vegetables.
So how much per acre?
It depends on the crops. Yeah. Well, I can go back. It's on this slide. So we can extract, depending on the crop, between a 60 to 70% gross margin. So when you think of and I know. No, we do this through partners. So I know you were. I can talk to you after as well. We do this through partners. So we're working right now with Bayer, Sumitomo, Janssen. Our model, being a small organization, is to really fund and you take the IP, take the technology, and really enable these large organizations to go through their boots on the ground and utilize their sales team. So no, we would be going into them for our biocontrol, for our TerraSante, so our biofertility product targeting the fertilizer space. We are looking at a different model, finding the right distribution model where it's more of a buy and supply type of an agreement.
You have to keep it.
I do, yes.
Why don't we talk about upcoming catalysts for shareholders, what to look out for news flow for partnerships, and then given the fact that we just received our U.S. registration approval to sell TerraSante, what sort of buzz is forming in the farm community in the U.S.?
Yeah, so I guess just for the people online, the question was around the catalyst for upcoming and the buzz around this. So a lot of the catalysts for us come to, I think it's two different areas. So one on TerraSante, the catalyst will be continued registrations. Like I said, right now we just have Washington and Oregon. We have our organic standard, which allows us to start selling there, but it's getting into California. California is the biggest market in the U.S. for fruit and vegetables, specifically looking at strawberries. Strawberries are a tremendous amount of value, and that's an area where once we get California, that's a huge win for us. Looking into Arizona and others. So number one catalyst would be continued registrations and advancement of TerraSante. On TerraSante as well, it is also looking at finding the right partners. I talk about a lot of the partners we talk to, Nutrients, the Wilbur Ellis, Driscoll's, Dole's, all these other organizations, they still go through smaller independents, small retail chains. So we want to find the right retail chain that has the right agronomists, so the right key industry experts to go and work with farmers to show the value. We want to work with the groups that are helping us and wanting to grow with us. So that would be the other catalyst for TerraSante. And I'm going to say this, I was in these fields last week with farmers, working with Giant, Driscoll's, Droll, these large organizations. And there is a lot of need for a technology like this into those markets to help replace and even complement some of the other areas. And that's a key thing with our technology. It can go into other chemistries or fertilizers. So it's an area. So there was a lot of excitement around that. On Terra MG, the other catalyst would be, we've been working with Sumitomo for roughly 2 years, looking and targeting specific areas. So I would say, looking at continued partnerships, continued agreements on a commercial side with our partners, with NexusBioAg in Canada, with Sumitomo, and even with Janssen and potentially other partners down the way. And then the last would be, essentially, I would say registrations. We've been working with EPA for a number of years. We've been working with PMRA in Canada for years. We've been with the Mexican authorities. We've been now working with others. Once we do get those registrations in place, that brings us that ability to go and start actively promoting and selling through our partners. Any other questions? None. Well. Yeah, so that's right. As Jameson, he's done a great job of structuring this, helping us. We haven't raised. We're sitting on a couple years of cash. We can extend that. We do that through our partners, and I think that's something that is very unique to our industry and different. We are not putting a significant amount of our capital into R&D. We do put some, but we're letting our partners fund it, unlike other organizations that are actually funding, 20 to 30 million in R&D.
I have another question. Who are the big players here? Scott would be the biggest player in this
No, so the biggest players in this space are actually the big ag chems. So it'd be Bayer, Syngenta, FMC, Sumitomo, Janssen, and it all depends on the industry, the market, and where you are globally. So it is the big ag chems. It's a model we've instead of we picked that model because a small organization like us, we would not have been able to get our technology tested and used Europe, Africa, and Middle East as quickly as it did. We wouldn't have got work done in Japan and Australia and all these other areas because it takes a lot of capital to do so, right, and expertise. The model, though, it is what's going to drive the best value for our shareholder. And we do believe for a lot of the big areas, a lot of big markets, that is through the large partners. In some areas, it's through smaller partners, like I said with Terrasante, looking at that, but it is about driving that value. Yeah. And I know our time's up. Last one thing, if you're eating broccoli, make sure you put mustard on it because the broccoli, kale, cauliflower don't have enough of the enzyme to break down and get the benefits, the full benefits of the glucosinolate. So I always say this, I'm on my soapbox, make sure you put mustard on with your other fruits and vegetables, especially broccoli, kale, cauliflower. There's not enough enzyme in those. There's the glucosinolates there, but there's not enough enzyme to get the full benefit of the AITC. It's the same molecule. Mustard is the same as broccoli, cauliflower, everything. We just take that, what nature's given us, and we're putting it back in the soil to have that impact. But more mustard. Ask Jameson. I'm always eating mustard with my burgers. So anyway, thanks for your time, everybody.